So good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. Okay. So we will be having a look at today's Indian Express newspaper. We will cover important article from there, whichever would be important for your exam point of view. Okay. Otherwise, we will try not to take any political article. Okay, because that won't be of any relevance. Okay. So in today's newspaper, we will have a look at Assembly and the Governor tussle. You must have heard about this case in Punjab, wherein governor has set on the bills, and after that there are some incidents, same incidents in the Tamil Nadu and Kerala also. So we'll talk about the powers of governor under Article 200. Okay. And then Article 370, root cause of terror. This is what has been said by the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, in the Parliament. Okay. So we will have a look at the aspect he has covered in his speech. Okay. We won't go beyond that or into the debate of this particular thing. Okay. Then Chandrayaan 3 PM back to Earth orbit. Here PM is your propulsion module. Okay. So basically the propulsion module which has placed Chandrayaan 3 on the moon now has come back to the Earth orbit. That particular endeavor was not part of the plan, but we have done it because we had extra fuel. Okay. So now we will talk about that, and after that we will take up few more articles, along with that world affairs and then practice questions. Okay. So let's have a look at the front page of the newspaper. Here you can see 10 BJP MPs who won assembly poll resigns. So basically a person who has won or 2 seats, he has to vacate 1 seat. Okay. So in that order, they whoever won from the assembly seats, they have resigned from the parliament. Okay. Other than that, electoral bonds over 1000 crores sold in the poll month, Hyderabad tops the sale. So basically in this particular case they are talking about electoral bond, but the data related to this particular election this time. Okay. So that is not important for us, because there is nothing about the data UPSC can ask. Only thing is what is important is the details of the electoral bond. Okay. Which you must know that SBI issues these bonds. This has to be changed in within 15 days of issuing the bond. Okay. So party has to claim the bond in 15 days with this particular bank. Bank will have the details of that particular donor because it is KYC based. Okay. Other than that, there are issues regarding the transparency in this case, that is Supreme Court is hearing that issue. So that is about this electoral bond, which you have to remember. We have covered it in the previous lectures as well. Okay. Then POK is ours, J&K paid for Nehru blunders, Article 370 root cause of terror. These are the statements which has been made by Mr. Shah in the parliament. Okay. We will have a look at this particular article. After that, FBI chief to visit next week NIA to discuss evidence against Pannu. So this particular case has been in highlights for 2 or 3 weeks now, because we have a good bond with USA. That is why this particular case is important for us. Similar case has happened in Canada, when there was Canadian government has accused Indian government to have some kind of link in killing the separatist Hardeep Singh, okay, Nizar. So basically in that case we did not give much of a thought, because those were the accusation which has been given put on us by Canada without any proof. But in this case there are some evidences, so that is why we are going to discuss that particular things, because we are also taking this thing seriously. Okay. And moving further, we'll start with the first article of the day. That is POK is ours, that is no doubt. Okay. And then J&K paid for Nehru blunders. These are political tussles which has been going on for a long time. We cannot go into debate of that. Then Article 370 is root cause of terror. Okay. So in this particular session, Amit Shah has said that Article 370 is root cause of terror, because after removing this particular article there has been less incidence of terror. Okay. So that is how he supported his argument. Other than that, this particular issue was in the parliament because there are 2 bills which has been cleared by the Lok Sabha in this particular session. Here you can say Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill 2023 and then Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2023. Okay. So because here delimitation is about to happen in Jammu and Kashmir, you know that there is this has been made a union territory recently, because of which there are, you can say, issues related to allocation of seats, etc. They have changed the allocation of seats. Earlier there used to be we'll discuss that. Okay. But they have changed the allocations of seat, and then because of this delimitation and the elections etc., this particular thing has been in news, and they have passed these two bills in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so let's have the details of this particular thing here. He has said that these were the blunders made by the Nehru. For that, he has said that the ceasefire agreement which has been signed in the Indo-Pak war, that was done a bit earlier, like 3 to 4 days earlier. Otherwise, we would have captured the Kashmir. Okay, that is his argument. Okay, and second thing is taking this particular issue to UN. Okay, now Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue between these two countries. Even if they claim that they have this part or they have captured this part, ultimately Jammu and Kashmir belongs to India, and if it is disputed between India and Pakistan, that is the internal issue and bilateral issue. Okay, so there was no need to take it to the UN. That is what his argument was. Okay, then discussing the delimitation of assembly constituencies in Jammu and Kashmir. Earlier there were 37 seats in Jammu, which has been increased to 43 now. Okay, and then in Kashmir there were 46 seats, that has been increased to 47 now. So they have some kind, you can say that they have increased the representation. Other than that, they have reserved 24 seats for the POK region. No doubt it is disputed as of now, but the thing is, we know that that region belongs to us. That is why we have given representation to that particular area. Whenever we capture it back, then those elected representatives from that area can come and sit in the parliament. Okay, that is about this. And then Jammu and Kashmir got its first multiplex cinema, and hundreds of films are being shooted now in the valley, and bank launched proposal for over 100 movies there. So basically, I have taken these lines not to tell you that there are multiplex being opened over there. The issue here is that how whenever you see peace in an area, if there are less number of conflict, less number of violence activities, you will see the prospects of culture and entertainment being increased over there. Okay, let's take an example for, let's say, Mughal era. Okay, so when Humayun and Babur came, or let's say the Sultanate time, Alauddin Khilji, Jalaluddin Khilji etc. came, that was the time of war, expansion of the empire. At that particular point, they have given less attention to the art and culture over there. Okay, then when we are talking about the Akbar's era, Shahjahan's era, or Jahangir's era, Shahjahan's era, you can see that at this particular point of time, there was a lot increase and the attention given to the art over there. Okay, at the time of Akbar, there are many things related to literature happened. After that, at the time of Jahangir, painting saw that its zenith. Okay, so we can say whenever there is peace, okay, then cultural aspect will flourish over there. So that is what is happening here. Okay, after removal of 370, there are less incidents of you can say terrorist activities over there, because of which there is establishment of peace, and that is why such entertainment activities are increasing over there. Okay, and now these producers are also having this faith that they are secure there. That is why they are shooting films over there. Okay, so that is one aspect I wanted to cover, how you can interlink things from this newspaper. Okay, then 70% reduction in the terror incidents, okay, from 2014 to 2023. So that is what he has given the argument to support that Article 370, removal of Article 370 by this government was a step in right direction. Okay, so that is about this particular article. We have covered it. There is nothing much other than these statements are political. We will not go into it. Okay, moving forward. Amid row, Punjab governor reserves 3 bill for the president's consideration. So few days earlier, Supreme Court has given the judgment that governor cannot use his power, absolutely or without any consideration of Council of Ministers recommendation. Okay, now that the legislature has passed some bills and given it to governor for the assent, we know that now governor has a few powers in this regard, like he can give the assent, he can withhold the assent. Okay, and then he can send it for reconsideration, and he can reserve the bill for president. Okay, so these are the 4 powers. But the thing is, in the Article 200, it is given that whatever you are doing, you have to do it as soon as possible. Okay, so that is the gist of this thing. Now, giving the assent is like bill came, you gave the assent, process done. Okay. After that, withholding the assent. withholding for what amount of time? Like he has withhold the assent, he is not given the assent, okay, but for what amount of time, okay. So now article 200 is very clear in this particular thing, that you have to send it back, or you have to deliver your decision as soon as possible, okay. Then he can send it for reconsideration if he has any kind of doubt, or he thinks that this particular law or bill should be reconsidered by the assembly. He can send it back, okay. Otherwise he can reserve the bill for the president. The thing is, he has to take a decision, okay, and not sit over the bill, okay. If you sit over the bill, it will hinder the working of the administration, and that is not the spirit of the constitution in which it was written that, or given the power to governor. The power given to governor was because it was a nominal head, first of all. Second thing, if at all legislative assembly does anything which is not in the interest of, let's say, federal system, etc., that is why he can go and tell that you can reconsider it, okay. Again, if he thinks that they have not they have given or done something which is kind of hindering the power of judiciary, or anything which is arising a question of law, he can reserve it for the president's assent or president's consideration, okay. So the thing is here, this power was given to safeguard the system, or you can say to assign some kind of check and balance, and not to give governor an absolute power with respect to legislation, because legislation inherently is the domain of legislature only, okay. And in the case of state, it is state assembly, okay. So here you can see Punjab governor Banwari Lal Purohit Wednesday reserved 3 bills, okay. That is after Supreme Court has told them to refer the judgment of Kerala and Tamil Nadu case, and then give some kind of decision, and then he has referred it to president, okay. And now these 3 bills were Sikh Gurudwara Amendment Bill, which aim to end the control of particular influence of the family in the administration of Gurudwara. So that is one thing. Then free to air telecast the sacred Guru Bani from the Golden Temple of Amritsar, okay. So these are general provisions. There is nothing for the consideration of president over here, okay. Then Punjab University's Laws Amendment Bill was to replace the governor with the chief minister as the chancellor of state-run university, okay. Now in this case, we can give a benefit of doubt that he might have considered it for the president, okay. Then Punjab Police Amendment Bill circumvents the UPSC Commission and aim to bring about the independent mechanism for selection and appointment of the state police chief. Now this is a particular factor which is somehow hindering the administration system, or you can say the federal system, because if one state goes for something like this, other state will also do the same, okay. And then that would be a problem, because this power right now is given to the UPSC, that is Union Public Service Commission, okay. So that can be a problem, but the thing is, he has taken this decision after a long time, okay. So that is one thing. Governor's move come after the Supreme Court's direction to Purohit to decide on the bill passed by the House, saying he was playing with the fire, okay. So basically this is direction which is given by the Supreme Court, and it was for this governor to consider that, and then he has referred this to the president. Now let's have a look at the article 200, what is exactly says. I will read it for you. When a bill has been passed by the legislative assembly of a state, or in case of state having legislative council, have been passed by the both houses. This is a simple procedure. If we have only one house, then you have to pass it by one house. If you have two, then from the both of the house. It shall be presented to governor, and governor shall declare either that he has assented to the bill, that he withhold the bill. So there is one thing, either he can give the assent or withhold the assent, okay. Therefore, or that he reserve the bill for the consideration of president. So there are 3 options available to governor. We will see the 4th option in the proviso, but right now they are saying that the governor shall declare their assent or decision. That is mandatory on the part of governor, that he has to do it, okay. So these 3 things he has to do it, that is mandatory, because the word is used here is shall and not may, okay. Now provided that the governor may, as soon as possible after the presentation to him of the bill for the assent, return the bill if it is not a money bill. In case of money bill, we know that money bill cannot be sent for the reconsideration, because it is a matter of urgency, okay. Together with the message requesting that the House or houses will reconsider the bill. Okay, so that is about the reconsideration. If he thinks that there should be reconsideration, he can send it as soon as possible. So that is also the thing. So if a bill comes to the governor, what he has to do is, that is mandatory, that he can give the assent, he can withhold the assent, and either he can give it for the consideration of president, but he has to take some action. Okay. Then this we have covered. We'll consider the desirability of introducing any such amendment. Now House can go for any kind of amendment after the request of governor, or they can send the bill as it is. Okay. But if they send the bill as it is, governor shall provide the assent. Governor cannot have any power to withhold that any further. Okay. So here again, governor for the assent, the governor shall not withhold the assent therefore. So this time he cannot withhold the assent. Okay. Then you can say that in case of withholding the assent in the first instance, he has to send it back as soon as possible for the reconsideration. Okay. So that is what Supreme Court has said in this particular thing, that governor cannot sit on the bill. Okay. Third thing is, when we are talking about the consideration of president, so constitution has mentioned that provided further that the governor shall not assent to but shall reserve for the consideration of the president any bill which in the opinion of the governor would, if it become a law, derogate from the power of the High Court as to endanger the position which that court is by the constitution designed to fill. So basically they are saying that if there is any threat or endanger to the power of High Court, in that case he can send it to the president. So we have covered all the aspect that there are 4 powers. One, he can assent to the bill, he can withhold the bill, he can give the assent, he can withhold the assent. Okay. In case he is withholding the assent, he has to send it back for the reconsideration as soon as possible. Then the third power is, he can go for the consideration of president. Okay. And fourth is, when they return the bill back with or without amendment, he shall give the assent, he cannot withhold the assent. So these are the constitutional provision for the power of the governor. So it is clear that governor cannot sit on the bill. Okay. So now moving further. To achieve net zero target, do not rely on burying emission underground. So basically in this particular article they are talking about carbon capture and storage, or you can say sequestration. Okay. So basically here they are asking that in case of any kind of industrial activity which is generating carbon, so what you can do is, you can actually capture that particular emission or the carbon emission and then store it. Okay. Now storing this particular thing, we will talk about how it is stored and where it is stored. Okay. But now let's see the idea that the all problematic carbon dioxide emission in the future can be safely and permanently buried in the ground with the carbon capture and sequestration technologies might be extremely misplaced and impractical. So basically there is this study, they are saying that you cannot do this particular thing for all kind of carbon emissions. Okay. Because that is costly. This particular technology has been in the domain for like some 40-50 years now. But the thing is, the cost of sequestration or cost of the capture and sequestration has been the same almost. Okay. So there is no much reduction in the cost. Okay. Now there are few industries which are using it, that is some cement industry, steel industries, because these industries are generating a huge number of carbon. Okay. So in case where is there is economy of scale, you can go for such technology because they can afford it, there can be a viability of this technology. But when we are talking about other small industries, you cannot go for such thing. Okay. So now here the study is saying that if you are relying on that for the emission, whatever emission gap we need to fill, that is a impractical idea. Okay. So let's see how it is an impractical idea. Oxford and the Imperial College research questions that the practicality of the relying on carbon capture and sequestration from for future carbon dioxide emissions can be impractical. Okay. Now carbon capture and sequestration involves capturing emissions from the source like power plants and storing them underground. So basically here what we are doing is, we are capturing the carbon at the source. Okay. That is the key term you can use in the definition, that we are capturing the carbon at the source. And when we are talking about the source, it is the industries which are generating this particular carbon dioxide. So let's have a look at the process here. So one thing is, that is natural, that whenever there is carbon dioxide, plants use it for their photosynthesis process, and oxygen is released. That is the terrestrial sequestration, or you can say that the terrestrial storage of carbon dioxide. That is natural. Okay. So one thing you can do is go for afforestation. Huge number of afforestation drive can help us capture the carbon. Okay. Second thing is, whatever carbon has been generated by the plant, electricity generation, ethanol plants, cement and steel, refineries, all these industrial activities, what can be done is that can be captured through some pipelines, and then it can be stored inside the interior of the earth. Where in the interior of the earth? So we are going for the mining like activities for like the, let's say, oil, gases, coal, etc. So that is somehow creating some space over there. So you can do that. You can store the carbon dioxide over there and trap it over there. Okay. So here you can say CO2 displaced methane from coal. Okay. Then CO2 stored in the depleted oil and gas reserves, and then CO2 replaced trapped oil. Whatever enhanced oil reserves are there over there, we can trap over there, and CO2 stored in the saline formations. So this way you can store CO2 inside the heart of the earth. Okay. So that is about this particular process, how it is done. Okay. So one is natural, that is terrestrial sequestration, and then when we are going for underground or geologic sequestration, that is this is the process how we can do it. We can capture it at the source and then use some pipelines and then buried it underground. Okay. So that is about your carbon capture and sequestration, or you can say storage. So now let's have a look at the report, what it is saying. IPCC's pathway to net zero emission by 2050. You can remember this particular goal that has been given by the IPCC, that you have to do it by 2050. Involves some form of CCS or carbon capture and storage, indicating its perceived necessity. Okay, so obviously, if you are not going for the reduction of the fossil fuel based generation of energy, or you can say using fossil fuel for the energy, you have to do something about capturing that carbon, or otherwise you cannot achieve this net neutrality. Okay, so this particular thing can be necessary. Okay, but the thing is, can it be possible or economically viable? Let's have a look at it. The study suggests that storing large CO2 volume for net zero might cost significantly more, possibly $30 trillion or more. Okay, so 30 trillion is a huge amount. And right now, if we are talking about at particular point of time, what we are spending, okay, for whatever small, whatever we are doing, that is nearly 5 trillion. But the thing is, we need much more of that. Okay. And now we are not doing any effort for the reduction in the cost of this technology, because sometimes reducing the cost of technology is not possible. Let's consider, let's say, nuclear technology. Okay, so in case of nuclear technology, we cannot reduce the cost of technology because of the rarity of the material which has been used by it. Okay, in case of now hydropower, in case of hydropower also, we cannot reduce the cost of technology over there. Okay, so same case is with the CCS. Okay, and this estimates, which what we are talking about, these are the minimum we are talking about. Okay, maximum we don't know. And now study warns against heavy reliance on the CCS due to potential economic unattractiveness and even infeasibility. So if we are going to rely on CCS, which is uneconomic or unfeasible, so ultimately we will miss our goals. So that is impractical. So that is what this particular report is saying. Lack of cost reduction in the CCS technology over 40 years contrast with the advancing technology. So basically we are saying that we are relying heavily on it, but there is no reduction in the cost of technology. And when we are talking about the target, that is we have this target to keep temperature change in check to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and we have already changed it to 1 degree Celsius. So we have we are fighting for this 0.5 degrees Celsius now. Okay, and yet we are not making any practical efforts when we are talking about such studies. Okay, the current global capacity for CCS is considerably small. As I told you, there are only some cement and steel. These are the plants right now, they are using it because that is how it is economically viable. Otherwise, for a small industry, it is not viable as well. Just a fraction of annual CO2 emissions. So when we are talking about this CCS, whatever we are using right now, it is just 1 of 1000 parts. Okay, So if we are emitting 1000 units of CO2, we are only capturing 1 unit. So that is the level as of now, and we are saying that we can highly rely on this particular technology. That is highly impractical. Slow government scaling of CCS indicates limitations and suggests its efficiency for broad scale implementations. Obviously, as I told you that there are high chance that it will be a inefficient or impractical endeavor. Okay. CCS is seen as beneficial for specific industries like cement and steel. As I told you, these are using this economy of scale, because they are generating huge amount of carbon, they have to capture it, one thing. Second thing, they are generating huge amount of revenues as well, and because of which they can go for cost of such technologies. Otherwise a small industry cannot afford this. For other sectors, it is less effective and costly compared to the renewable energy and afforestation. As I told you, terrestrial sequestration or the storage is one option which we can utilize by afforestation. Okay. Other than that, renewable energy is quite efficient when we consider this particular CCS technology. Okay. And India is doing good on that part, emphasizing transition to renewables and the halting deforestation. So that's basically this can be a way forward. Okay. So that is about this carbon capture and storage. So let's move further. Garba gets UNESCO tag for intangible cultural heritage. Okay, UNESCO has this process of conserving the intangible heritage of various different cultures, etc. So now that tag has been given to Garba as well. Garba is under the list. Other than that, there are many other India's art forms, etc., which are under the list. We will have a look at that as well. Now, here you can see UNESCO on Wednesday approved the inclusion of Garba, Gujarat's most popular folk dance form. It belongs to Gujarat. It is not belonging to any particular community. So you can see that there is some kind of social inclusion you can see over here. There is no you can say difference made on the basis of distinction made on the basis of gender, caste, etc. over there in this particular dance form. Okay. Here you can say Garba fosters social equality by diluting social, economic and gender and religious structures. Okay. It continues to be inclusive of diverse and marginalized communities, thus strengthening the social bonds. So here you can see how culture can act glue when we are talking about socio and economic rights as well. Okay. Or social and economic equality. Okay. The practitioners and the bearer of Garba are broad and inclusive, from the dancers to musicians, social groups, craftspersons and religious figures involved in the festivities and the preparation. This particular folk art, you can say it is a folk dance form which is performed at the time of Navratri. Okay, in Gujarat region. Okay. So that is about this particular thing. Other than that, if we are talking about other intangible heritage, cultural heritage, you can see these are the Vedic chanting, Ram Leela, Kotayam, then Raman, Mediyattu, Kalbelia from Rajasthan, Chahu dance, Buddhist chanting, Sankirtan, then yoga, Nowroz is the new year for Parsis celebrate, and then Kumbh Mela, which has been added into list in 2017. So these are few important names you can remember and use it in your answers. Okay. Otherwise, they can give MCQ based question on which of the following is not part of your intangible cultural heritage. So you have to remember few names. Okay. Now, Chandrayaan 3 propulsion module retrace steps to Earth orbit. Why it matters? Okay. So you know that India has become the first country to soft land on the south pole of moon. So that is a achievement which has been made possible by this propulsion module, because it has a huge role when we are talking about making this particular thing possible. Now the job of this propulsion module was to make that landing and then come back to the lunar orbit and make some observation over there. For that there was this particular instrument or payload which has been used, that is SHAPE, that is spectropolarimetry of habitable planet Earth SHAPE. Okay. So SHAPE will look at the Earth and look at the factors which made this particular planet habitable. Okay. So that we can look for the other exoplanet having similar factors or the similar elements. Okay. So that was the role. First, it will make it land the Chandrayaan 3 on the, or you can say the lander on the surface of the moon, and then orbit the lunar, or in the place in the lunar orbit, and look at the Earth with the help of this shape. Okay. So this was the plan. Okay. After 3 months of the operation, that particular module has to be, that age of the module, or the period of the module should come to the halt. But now they have realized that since we had the successful landing of Vikram, because of which there was some saving of the fuel, and because of which we could perform this endeavor, that we tried to make this particular propulsion module come back into the Earth orbit. Okay, why this is important? Because with the help of this particular endeavor, if we learn that what are the things we can do to bring the propulsion modules back in the Earth orbit and then back to the Earth safely, what we can do is we can send these modules, we can bring some samples back from space, or you can say bodies like celestial bodies like moon, or okay. So let's have a look at it, how they did it. Scientists have brought the propulsion module of the Chandrayaan 3 mission, which took Vikram lander within the 100 kilometers of the moon before it detached and made the historic soft landing on August 23. Okay. So what this module has done, that it has taken Vikram to the lunar orbit at the altitude of 100 kilometers. Okay. Its successful return to the Earth orbit is significant achievement that marks a step towards bringing back samples from the lunar missions, okay, in the future, not in the original mission. As I told you, this was not the part of the original mission. This has happened because they can because of the optimal utilization of the fuel, and they have saved some fuel, and that is why they were able to do it. PM's return to Earth orbit utilized the logistic advantages, near perfect mission, especially the availability of the fuel. Okay. So as I told you, there was this payload, that is shape spectropolarimetry of habitable planet Earth, and this was used to look back at the Earth, study the signatures that makes Earth habitable, so that we can identify the habitable exoplanets. Okay. So they have performed this endeavor as well. It was expected to continue orbiting the moon for another 6 months with the shape looking at the Earth. Okay. So PM was to operate shape for about 3 months, and then for the life of the module. Okay. Then availability of the 100 kg of the fuel. As I told you, they have saved some fuel, and because of which, when this much fuel was available, they thought about going for this particular endeavor. This was used as demonstration for future lunar sample return missions. Okay. PM around the moon was raised to the 5112 kilometers from the 150 kilometers, and then it was made to enter into the trans Earth injection, or Earth orbit. Okay. Currently, the propulsion module is orbiting the Earth. Okay, so it is in the Earth orbit. ISRO has been able to understand what is involved in the planning and execution of the trajectory and maneuver to return from the moon to Earth. So basically, by doing this, now ISRO can take an idea from this particular thing, that how can we come from moon back to the Earth. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, it allows ISRO to work towards the developing a software module to plan going forward. In case we are going for such endeavors in the future, it will help ISRO to design those things at the software level as well. Allow the planning and the execution of gravity assisted flybys across the celestial bodies. As we use this gravity for Mangalyaan and then for Chandrayaan, so this particular thing can help us, that how can we come out of the influence of the gravity of moon. Okay, once we enter into the lunar orbit, we have to come out of lunar gravity to enter towards Earth's gravity. Okay, so this is one of the experiment where we can learn all these three things. Okay. So let's have a look at the propulsion module, etc. So this was the Chandrayaan. Okay, this is where your payload was kept. Your lander was kept over here. Okay, and here you can see this particular area is carrying this lander, and this is basically called the propulsion module here. Okay, so this is your propulsion module. This is how it looks. Okay, so these part of the rocket or the engine will separate at different stages, and then this will go to the lunar orbit, and this propulsion module will help it go to the 100 kilometers, and then after that soft landing would be performed. Okay, so that is what happened in the Chandrayaan 3. Now this propulsion module was to actually revolve around this particular in the lunar orbit. Okay. Now what we have done for the sending Chandrayaan, that we have been in the Earth orbit and then we used gravity to shoot it out of the Earth orbit and to enter the lunar orbit. Okay. So now we have used the same phenomena for this particular thing as well. We were inside the lunar orbit and then we got out to about some 5,000 kilometers revolving around the moon in the gravity of the moon and then came back to the Earth's orbit. Okay. So here it can be like this now. Okay. So that is how we can use the gravity in the exoplanets as well, and that was a big learning for us. Okay. So I guess that is clear now. From the world affairs part, Putin has a meeting with the Mohammed bin Sultan. Okay, sorry, Salman, Mohammed bin Salman. Okay, so now these two countries, Russia, and Saudi. So these are major countries which are kind of having a dominance in the OPEC plus. Okay, so when we are talking about OPEC, so this is an organization of petroleum export countries. Okay, so in OPEC, Russia is not there, but in the OPEC plus, there are some allies which are been added in this particular grouping. In that, Russia is also there. Okay, so there was recently an OPEC. There was supposed to be an OPEC summit, but because of some kind of disagreements, there was some issue. Okay, so now after that comes this particular visit. Okay. In that visit, they have talked about how to keep the oil prices at viable position, or let's say in the best interest of these two countries, because recently, despite the effort of OPEC, oil prices are falling because there is now Venezuela is giving some kind of discount, etc. So that is why they have had a meeting. Okay, and these two countries are you can say kind of having friendly relations as well. Okay, so that is what, there is nothing much in this particular article. All I wanted to tell you that about the OPEC, you can have a look at the OPEC countries here. Okay, so Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, here you can have a look at these OPEC countries: Iraq, Libya, Algeria, Venezuela and Ecuador in the South America. Other than that, Nigeria, Gabon, Angola, all these countries are, you can say, despite Iraq, these countries are in Africa. And then when we are talking about these countries, these countries, Iran, Kuwait, Qatar, all these are in the part of Asia. You can say this organization of APEC has three different, on the expense in the three different continents, you can say, that is South America, Africa and part of Asia. Okay, so this is about the OPEC. And now when we are talking about OPEC plus, there are few countries which has been added like Russia, then one is Mexico or Mexico, whatever you want to call it. Other than two countries of Africa are also included, I guess Sudan was one of them. And then here you can see some countries from the Southeast Asia has also been part of this particular organization, that is OPEC plus. So OPEC plus is nothing but OPEC countries along with some allies. Okay, and major dominance is there in of Russia. And when we are talking about OPEC, major domination is of Saudi. Okay, when we are talking about OPEC and OPEC plus member, they are contributing 40% of the export of oil. And when we are talking about this OPEC only, that is giving nearly 33% of the oil. Okay, so that is about OPEC and OPEC plus. So moving to the question which was given to you in the last episode, but the answer was revealed over there only, so you can have a look at it and simply guess the answer because we have discussed it in the last class. Okay, so question for today's practice would be, what is the primary cause of carbon capture and sequestration technology? Okay, primary purpose. So to release and capture carbon emission into atmosphere, to prevent the release of carbon emissions into the atmosphere, to convert carbon emissions into renewable energy, to enhance the production of carbon emission in the industry. So you can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. Okay, now we'll have a look at the questions which is for your mains. How does the governor's power to assent to the bill in India affect the balance between state autonomy, okay, and central oversight? So they are basically talking about federalism here. Okay, so you have to write a good introduction in that regard, and then explain the importance of this check and balances in ensuring effective governance and harmonious federal relations. Okay, so here in this particular questions, we have discussed what are the issue when we are talking about the governor's power. Okay, so power you can mention from the article 200. Other than that, you can talk about this federalism over here. Okay, role of these institution in maintaining checks and balances, because they have specifically mentioned this term. You can describe the role of Supreme Court, because Supreme Court has original jurisdiction when we are talking about the issues between center and state. Okay, that you can do. Other than that, you can also mention Sarkaria Commission over here, because Sarkaria Commission has given some kind of recommendation with respect to the power of governor when we are talking about the federal relation between center and state. Okay, so that is why Sarkaria Commission becomes important over here. Okay, and you have to mention this article 200 as well. So these are the factors you have to mention for sure, that Supreme Court's power, governor's power, article 200, Sarkaria Commission, Punchi Commission, all these things you have to remember for your exam point of view. So that is all about today's session. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.